Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Jean Till, and on today's show, we're visiting with Ann and Bill Moore, leaders of the Catholic Divorce Survival Guide.
Good morning, Jean. And
Good morning.
Right now we're well settled in, 10 plus days of the Lenten season. Hopefully people we have a kind of new habit of being, prayer, fasting, almsgiving, other spiritual practices that should not close us in on ourselves, but open us up to others. It was beautiful to see the spark of desire for Jesus and the sacraments, those who are being initiated at the Easter Vigil throughout the diocese last weekend, the rites of election that we celebrated in St. Patrick's Council Bluffs, and also St. Francis of Assisi. So we have our catechumens who will be baptized, who will be confirmed and receive Holy Eucharist for the first time, and then candidates as well. So the revised order of Christian initiation will probably focus on the catechumens going forward, but this year we continue that practice with our candidates, our Christian brothers and sisters who are embracing Catholic faith now and the fullness of the sacramental life. Lots going on. Actually, at St. Francis, 2 days in a row, I was with the Catholic daughters, those wonderful women, those powerhouse spiritual prayers, and on Monday night, and their support for vocations through their prayers and their material support as well. So always good to be with those ladies. Tonight, Spirit Celebration dinner. The tickets are probably well sold out, but the center in the Mid-America Center, stumbled for a moment. They're in Council Bluffs. Looking forward to being with them, and I won't talk about Archbishop Lucas behind his back. He will be
that's a good
there.
Thing.
Yeah. And then a kind of special event coming up this week for 2 days. The U.S. Bishops, the Committee on Doctrine, is sponsoring a gathering, the place of Episcopal discernment in the synodal journey. We know that the Synod on Synodality continues through this October, so it's kind of an extended piece, but it's a chance for us to reflect on our ministry, the role of a synodal bishop. Cardinal Gretsch will be there from the Secretary General of the Synod. He'll have a response by Bishop Rhodes of the Diocese of Fort Wayne, South Bend, the theology of the bishop and the communion theology of Vatican II, but then also the sense of the faithful in our own Episcopal discernment and other gatherings as well. So it'll be a time on the Notre Dame campus. I won't be going to a basketball game or a hockey game match or anything in that regard.
Nothing like that on the agenda.
But, this Monday, on a spiritual note, we come up on the beautiful readings that challenge us and everything else. Luke 6:36-38. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. Stop judging, you'll not be judged. Stop condemning, you'll not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and gifts will be given to you. A good measure, packed together, shaken down and overflowing, will be poured into your lap. For the measure with which you measure will in turn be measured out to you." Makes me kind of think about when I would travel with my late father. And each day there would be a little moment, maybe late in the afternoon, when sparks would fly between father and son.
What?
I think it was because we were both hangry a little bit. And so the remedy was maybe a little time apart, but then coming back together, maybe with some snacks and maybe a glass of wine. My dad liked his glass of Riesling usually. But so one day as we parted company, even before all that unfolded, Dad, never one for public displays of affection, just embraced me with a bear hug and kissed me on the cheek. Wow, I thought I haven't even given him food and drink. But I think in that spirit of that gospel, Jesus enjoins us to stop judging or condemning, to forgive and give without measure, and mercy will be ours. This isn't a kind of transactional affair, a kind of quid pro quo relation between divine and human persons. Rather, Jesus sketches how the Father's mercy both prompts us to act and perfects us in the process. When we let God route his grace through us toward others, this same mercy abides in us beyond measure. As Cardinal Walter Casper relates, mercy is ultimately grace for conversion, not its reward. God's fidelity precedes anything we might do, for the Father has already bound himself to us in the Son. Their Spirit enables us to be embraced and kissed by God's mercy that melts our anger and meets our hunger for love. All the way to mercy is mercy. Now this is a Father to whom we can raise a glass, or better, take up the cup of salvation and call upon the name of the Lord, as we do day in and day out through this Lenten time. So, Father of mercies, convert our procrastination and our reluctance to bear forgiveness and mercy to others. Quicken our hearts to love, for you've already initiated the work of mercy in your Son.
With that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we'll be visiting with Ann and Bill Moore, leaders in the Catholic Divorce Survival Guide. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from First Heartland Financial Group consultant Scott Prickett, an independent financial firm offering personalized financial advice with your insurance and investments for all stages of life. 515-202-6218 or online at firstheartlandfinancialgroup.com.
Mercy One is proud to support Iowa Catholic Radio. Mercy One has convenient locations right in your neighborhood. From unexpected illnesses to regular checkups, Mercy One is here for you. Schedule online at mercyone.org.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from the Catholic Tuition Organization. Reduce or eliminate your Iowa income tax and instead give to the Catholic Tuition Organization and receive 75% Iowa tax credits. These tax credits are going fast, so reserve yours today and learn more about the Catholic Tuition Organization at ctoiowa.org. ctoiowa.org. The bottom line, it's for the kids and their futures.
Catholic Tuition Organization, a great investment in our kids.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen, and on today's show we're visiting with Ann and Bill Moore, leaders of the Catholic Divorce Survival Guide.
Ann and Bill, so good to have you on, and I'm blessed to make your acquaintance at the kind of Holy Trinity events, kind of fundraising, but with a culinary flair and everything else, so to share a glass, and we were talking about that with my dad just a moment ago,
yeah.
But to be around me, very Catholic thing to experience with you and your great joy and your laughter, but coming to know a little bit of your story. So thank you for taking time to be on here. Ann, Fort Dodge native, but then Marshalltown.
Go Gales.
Yeah,
Yes.
there we go.
Absolutely.
St. Edmund, okay.
Yes.
But also running into my uncle at one point, too, Father Ralph Symington.
Yes, he's such a wonderful man. He was up in Marshalltown when we lived there in the early 90s, and yeah, what a great inspiration for you to have growing up. Just a wonderful man.
Yeah, apostle of joy. And so we pray for his health and
Yes.
things at this time. And Bill, a Des Moines native all the way, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Des Moines. Well, technically Clive. Yes, and I attended St. Theresa.
When it was rural or not? No.
I remember briefly when 86th Street was a gravel road. So it was 1966.
And you're not that old. No.
Hey, just turned 25.
Yeah, again.
But no, I grew up in Clive and then attended St. Teresa's school, first through 8th grade, and then went to Dowling Catholic through 12th grade, and then went to the University of Iowa. So,
well, I guess he's no longer a guest.
Yeah. Bill has to leave. I can stay.
We've got him surrounded. Okay.
Well, Bishop and I talked the other night about St. Mary's, and I was sitting in Father Henry Greiner, and such a wonderful guy that when I was there. St. Mary's, if you don't know, is right down pretty close to campus, and that's where a lot of the kids went to Mass. And he was just a super, super good priest at that time,
yeah.
and was wonderful with the kids. So.
Gregory is related to women, men, and it was another means, one that God used to spark my desire for priesthood. I think just his great humanity and warmth and things too. So obviously, he touched both of us in that St. Mary's Church. The Samuel Mazzucchelli, another one of his churches, the one whose cause for canonization continues to unfold. So we were teasing and laughing a little bit, St. Teresa's roots, but you're very much a Holy Trinity man. But Anne, you guys still keep this marriage going here, even though you have different parish affiliations.
Well, when I moved to Des Moines, my first husband passed away in 2010, and so my daughters were, after college, living here. And so I moved to Des Moines, and I was at St. Pius for a couple of months, and my friend Sharon Salazar, who goes to St. Theresa for almost all of her life, probably, she'd say, and she said, well, you should come visit St. Theresa. And I said, okay. So my daughters came with us, and it reminded me a lot of my grandparents' church in Bloomington, Minnesota. And so we all joined St. Teresa's, and I've been there ever since. And even though I love Bill more than anything, I wasn't going to leave St. Teresa, and he wasn't going to leave Holy Trinity because he raised his children there, and my grandchildren all go to St. Teresa. Well, I've got one at Dowling now, but so yeah, somehow we make it work. Nobody ever knows where we're going to worship, Father Mark Neal's like, oh, you're going to show up this weekend,
But interesting that the bond with the faith community, enfolds your marriage, but it sometimes transcends it almost in a way. So how powerful. But then at some point, life circumstances and leading, and then you meet each other. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, I was divorced in 2010, and we'll get to that. Kind of the reason we're here anyway. But and I really started my annulment. I wasn't really looking, wasn't dating, wasn't looking at that time, but just thought that was a real requirement to get on with my life, I guess. And I thought, and maybe I wasn't going to be married again. I don't know, but just to have that ready, in short, ready to go, in other words. And I remember talking to Father...
To realize your status that, with all the good intentions in the world, there were factors that prevented it from ever realizing the identity of a sacramental marriage.
That's correct.
And that you're free to marry as a baptized parent because no actual marriage had taken place in a spiritual, sacramental sense.
Yeah. Yes, correct, Bishop. And then Father Michael Amadeo is now in Ankeny. He was pastor at Holy Trinity then and was great about getting me started. And I was more of I was kind of cut to the chase type of guy. I'm like, okay, Father, how many people actually get this? I was really trying to. He goes, well, Bill, I can't say that, and so I go, okay, well, and then he said, okay, take the form, and on the back of the form, at least it was like, now who you intend on getting married to? I'm like, I'm not, and he said, well, that's unusual. I'm like, well, okay, but that's what I want to do, and he said, great, we want you to do that. And then he gave me the form. He said, now come back and get it filled out. It'll probably take you 6 months. I'm like, no, it won't. It won't take me nearly that long. And it was done in like 3 or 4 weeks. And,
your paperwork was
my
done
paperwork. Yes, my paperwork. Correct. Not the annulment.
Don't want to mislead anybody.
Let's be clear for our listeners.
Yeah, we don't want to mislead anybody. And at that time, which I'm glad they've changed, at that time it was like $300. Okay. I'll put the $300 or whatever it was.
Right.
And then shortly after that, I think the Pope came out and said these should be no charge, which I totally agree with. And then he wouldn't give me my money back. But anyway, that's
no bitterness.
Yeah,
there.
There's no bitterness at all.
And of course, the staffing of the tribunal, which is the group that kind of adjudicates these things. Obviously the costs run far beyond that, and that would be sacramental. And it never was a barrier for anybody to be able to enter into the process. But for those who have the means, that's what it was. But Pope Francis said, no, let's make this open to everybody. We think about the global setting in places where $300 is maybe an annual salary for some people.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
So.
No, that was a very good change. And so I went through the process, and at that time, Father Amadeo was on tribunal or headed it up, and so he was pretty familiar with
panels,
it. Yeah. Right, exactly, and was very helpful in going through that process, and
So it can be a pastoral moment of accompaniment, ideally, and not a brutal interrogation and exposing all the wounds and scars and the ugliness that led to a divorce.
Yeah, definitely, Bishop. But it's I wouldn't say it's fun, but it's definitely healing, and I think that's the most important thing to think about. That is it's a very healing process, and self-examination yourself also. So.
But how did you get to me? I think that was the original.
There we go. She'll take over now. My work is done here.
Yeah, right. I'd like to hear his version before we run out of time. It'll be short.
People are looking for love. We had Valentine's Day.
Valentine's just had Valentine's Day.
Ash Wednesday.
Which again is on Ash Wednesday this year, but that's all right. So. Anyway,
there is a happy ending in here somewhere.
Yeah, there is.
There is.
Somewhere.
So
well, at least on my side, I don't know. He hasn't agreed to that yet.
Okay, Ann, we'll have our conversation over here.
Yes, right.
Okay. Sorry,
Be patient with us, listeners. Be patient with us.
I know.
Be patient.
We're sorry for ourselves.
Be patient. Anyway, so then I went basically online. I mean, onto CatholicMatch.com.
Okay.
After I was ready, after 2.5 years of divorce, and Anne can tell the more humorous side of this, but I finally reached out to Anne, probably 3 years online, and we finally met and went out on a date, and we got our histories, and talked about that, and
here he is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was
on the radio.
Your first date was not the Iowa State game. That's what you're saying.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
That may not have voted.
Yes.
But anyway, and maybe we could kick it over to you.
Go ahead, Ann.
Well, yeah, I had been widowed since 2010 and moved to Des Moines, and never thought I'd do online dating just because it just seemed really strange to me. But anyway, so I did join Catholic Match after went to my friend's wedding on a Saturday, and so Sunday I joined CatholicMatch.com, and it was pretty intimidating. Mm-hmm. But I do highly recommend it because I think Bill and I are pretty happy. Mm-hmm. And
that's how my husband and I met, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We talked about that one day after Mass. Yeah. And
no paid promotions here.
No. We are not a paid sponsor. But if you can't remember, just turn your bulletin over. I think almost every Catholic church has a little ad for Catholic Match Iowa. Mm-hmm. And so I immediately saw Bill's profile because we're both accountants by trade. And I was like, oh, well, he doesn't have a picture. So we're moving on.
Yep.
And then I kept watching for 15 months. He was still on there and I was still on there. And I'm like, I really like his profile because you write a little bit about yourself, and but he didn't have a picture, and I wasn't going to reach out if he didn't have a picture.
Then they're McCreepies.
Well, right, because
just trying to heighten the sense of mystery.
Right. Bill, he was, doing that. So, I figured maybe you shouldn't be on there if you don't have a picture. 2, maybe you really shouldn't be on there if you have a picture. And 3, you might not have the technical capabilities to upload a photo, which
That's a deal breaker.
Right. I'm not very technology savvy, but I do know how to upload a photo. So you have to have minimum standards, right? And so then finally, Bill.
Wait a minute. I don't want this guy doing my taxes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so, and then lo and behold, he has a picture up, and I'm like, oh, he's not bad looking. Okay. So I send him a little email because you anonymously email. You don't share your personal email. And
she still isn't going to let it go.
No, I'm not going to let it go. So
sometime we're going to talk about divorce ministry
we will.
here.
Anyway,
okay.
So fast forward, we meet, and it was kind of a little bit weird. The first night, we just went for a beer, and Bill had these big high white socks on and a hat, and I was like, oh, okay, that's my guy. So anyway, we had an interesting dinner or beer, and then then we went on a real date because it's a good idea to have a beer or coffee or something before whatever you want because you get the jitters out, and then
and it's short.
Yes.
It can be short.
Yes, you should do a definite time.
This is also a dating guide show.
Yeah,
here,
it's a multi-purpose show today. And so then we went on our real first date, and I was like, oh, I think I really like him. But what really appealed to me about Bill is he was already in the annulment process. Like he was almost, the paperwork was, waiting. And he said, I was married before, and I could have done this and this and this better. And I thought that is impressive for people to do self-examination, like he said. And I'm like, okay, I'll take him. And here we are.
Yeah.
Somehow in this wonderful relationship that mysteriously overcame all these hurdles.
Big hurdles.
Then an openness to a ministry.
Yes, I've always been involved in church ministry, lots of youth ministry in my history. I think I've directed 8 or 9 Teens Encounter Christ in Marshalltown. That was my big thing, and I loved it. So many wonderful people in Marshalltown with that ministry. So when my husband Harold died, I was praying for a spouse he worked a lot of hours. And so I was praying for a spouse that we could do ministry together. And so when Bill and I got serious, and he said, well, Deacon Tony Valdez asked me if I'd like to do this program. And I said, God answers your prayers. Yep. And so, when Bill said that, and we met with Deacon, and here we are. We're leading the group, and we've been I think this is our 8th year. We're just finishing up our series for this season, and it's been wonderful to work with Bill and build our relationship and do God's work together, which is what I had hoped for this phase of my life.
So Deacon Tony kind of was the guide, the threshold that brought you into this, but you kind of have a leadership role in all this. And how do people, they see the ads in the bulletins or on online presence, and then what would be involved? What are they stepping into in this divorce survival guide?
Well, it's a 12-week program, and we don't always get it done in 12 weeks. Like
sometimes snowstorms.
Snowstorm and weather.
Christmas is on a Monday.
Yeah, and so
or you two just get talking and
yeah, exactly.
But it's 12 weeks, and we go through different, aspects of divorce. Denial. There's a lot about anger. Then we talk about
guilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is a big one.
Forgiveness
Do we have to?
Yes.
Forgiveness is a big
Forgiveness
one.
is hard.
Financial issues, relationships, how to be open again. I guess how to trust, and we get a lot of that. And after doing it for so many years, you'd think, don't. But we always get something out of it. We always do.
Yeah, and sometimes even really, really good friends.
Yes.
Correct. Which is fabulous.
But it's been wonderful to help these people. We're not professionals. We're not giving professional advice.
Yeah.
We're just, it's basically
when to refer.
Yeah. Right.
Very interested in
it's
that,
and it's more of a sharing thing too among the people.
Yeah.
So, because they've all been through similar things in there. And we had one gal that just has been we've been doing remote from over in Western Iowa, and she's like, I didn't know anybody had been going through this myself. The things addiction issues with their spouse and et cetera. So, anyway.
Wow. And all those emotions not only directed to one's former spouse, but perhaps to God as well, right?
Yes.
Be able to process. So
yes.
Let's pause there, and hopefully you'll hang around here.
Love to.
Stay with us as we continue our conversation with Ann and Bill Moore, leaders in the Catholic Divorce Survival Guide. And to learn more about the help available through the diocese, go online to dmdiocese.org and simply search Catholic Divorce Survival Guide. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by the Sarah Vocations Ministry, including the St. Sarah Club of Des Moines and the Sarah Club of Council Bluffs. Sarah is an apostolate of the Worldwide Catholic Church dedicated to fostering and supporting priesthood and religious vocations. Sarahans strive to accomplish their mission through prayer, fellowship, and service to the bishop, priests, sisters, and all in religious formation, and in doing so to increase their own holiness. Learn more at joinsarah.org, joinserra.org. Thank you, Sarahans, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for programming provided by Trappist Caskets, a work of the monks of New Melleray Abbey in Peosta, Iowa. Embracing an honest approach to death can more readily affirm the real meaning of life. Trappist caskets and urns are made in the prayerful environment of the monastery, using Iowa-grown wood from the Abbey's sustainable forest. Each casket and urn is blessed by a monk. Quietly laboring with their hands for 175 years, the monks offer workmanship at the pinnacle of woodworker's craft. Available for immediate delivery or as a part of a pre-planning program. Learn more at TrappistCaskets.com.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
So the Catholic Divorce Survival Guide, this is not just something you came up with on your own that you've copyrighted, but or just letting the Spirit blow every night in the conversation. Right. There is a kind of a path and a process here.
Yes. So there is a small fee of $30 to come to the class. We do have scholarships available. If that is an impediment for you, please don't let that keep you away. You get a booklet, and then Rose Sweet has put together a video of 12 different topics, and we do one video each night, and then we have conversation afterwards. And she also is on Catholic Radio too, so you can check her out. She's got a lot of good divorce care topics that she talks about. So, and then we visit for a while, and like Bill said, we're not professionals. We make that very clear. We just want to offer time and space for people who are suffering the same pain to share, and they share things like, who's your divorce attorney? Oh, that's a good idea for child custody. All kinds of things that they don't have maybe other family members or friends that have been through divorce before.
So a lot of practical wisdom is shared.
Yes.
That people have suffered through their experiences, but gained and help each other. You don't bring in guest speakers then?
Correct. No, we just follow Rose's 12 weeks of topics.
Mm-hmm. And it's good to know that you don't provide like legal advice, like, can you help me write my,
Yeah.
all of that.
Right. And Bill and I like to do it typically in the fall through the holidays, because that's such a tough time, and people can say, hey, this is what we're doing with our kids, or vice versa. So people have really appreciated the bonding of the individuals that are going through divorce.
And I want to emphasize one more thing that I'm just thinking of, that we, it's pretty confidential among the group, and we
Yes.
make people sign a confidentiality agreement. It's kind of like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas type of thing. And also we try to, and we may have violated it once, but pretty much.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, but after first 3 weeks, we kind of shut it off to anybody else.
That was going to be my question. Yeah.
So it's a pretty group that know each other, can trust each other, and we don't have, and nothing against any other faith and how they do it. But I know before I found this program, I was kind of searching for one, and Lutheran Church of Hope has a divorce type of thing, but it's kind of a join as you want, leave as you want. So it's huge. It was probably 30 people.
Yeah.
But and there were good topics. I didn't say there weren't, but it was more, okay.
When does the next one start? If you're just wrapping this series up.
We usually start in October, November, depending on, Bill and I rotate around the diocese, different churches. This session, we're at St. Francis. We'll probably move, I don't know where, but typically October or November. So be watching the bulletin. Whenever the church has space, that's the date. When we can get a room, that's the date, whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And so in the fall, look for it.
So we think about Christian initiation. We mentioned that, and that period after being initiated, the mystagogia, unfolding what's there. And sometimes people keep that relationship going, keep meeting. Do you keep any connections with people in this interim period?
The group on their own, after we're done with our 12 weeks, they do continue to meet as long as they want after the group, and they really enjoy that. And then they disband as life goes on. But I know I've thought about emailing everybody and have like a big reunion, but because of the confidentiality thing, I won't do that. But yeah, we do keep in touch with people, and they reach out.
And you even found maybe allowing someone to participate remotely at a certain point.
Yeah, we really, we really like that personal touch. Being in the same room with everybody. But this last time we've had somebody, like I said, from Western Iowa remotely come in. And so we've been...
So maybe that's the Spirit's promptings that we need to look at different places in the diocese, and perhaps people on the western side, Council Bluffs and beyond, who are experiencing divorce and who are looking for support. Maybe this is what God is asking of us in the diocese.
Yeah, I think the Holy Spirit might be moving us in that direction, Bishop.
Yeah, well, thank you for your responsiveness to the Spirit and sharing your joy, your good humor, ability to laugh at yourselves, and your love for Christ and each other, and for those who are hurting and that you accompany. So blessings to both of you.
Thank you.
Well, this has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to our guests and to all of our listeners in Iowa and Nebraska and Wisconsin, or wherever you may be listening to Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
I'm Father Thomas Loya, and this week on Light of the East on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network, does abstaining from meat, dairy, sweets, wine, oil, music, entertainment, and iPhones throughout all of Lent seem unreasonable? Is doing penitential prostrations on the floor and going to church and confession more often seem extreme? Actually, is the norm that Lent brings us back to. Light of the East, Sunday mornings at 10:30 on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network.
Iowa Catholic Radio would like to thank our business partner, Edible Arrangements, for their support, offering fruit bouquets and gourmet dip chocolate treats. On the go or have it delivered for that special occasion, ediblearrangements.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by Knights of Columbus, Borman, Pfeiffer Agencies, serving Catholic families in Iowa, offering life insurance, long-term care insurance, disability insurance, and retirement annuities. The Knights of Columbus is a fraternal benefit society able to provide financial security to members and their families. Learn how Knights of Columbus agent Justin Waddle can help. 563-689-6801, 563-689-6801, or kfc.org.
St. Vincent de Paul helps so many people.
You're right, Zoe. St. Vincent de Paul Executive Director Steve Havman here. We are serving over 32,000 local residents with food, clothing, furniture, and financial assistance annually. We invite you to learn more about all of our life-changing programs that positively impact so many Iowans by simply Googling St. Vincent de Paul of Des Moines. Our mission is to help those in need become self-sufficient through education, community connectedness, and unconditional support. Help us, help others.
Even kids!
Fast Signs is a custom sign and visual solutions company with an extensive selection of digital signage, interior and exterior signs, banners, and vehicle wraps. Learn more at fastsigns.com. Thank you, Fast Signs in Clive, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Welcome to Faith and Family Finance with the Knights of Columbus. This is your weekly opportunity to learn more about what you can do to protect your and your family's future and how the Knights of Columbus can help.
Good morning, Iowa Catholic Radio. I'm Knights of Columbus Field Agent Gregory Waddle. With me today from New Mallory Abbey, we have Brother Joseph Kronbusch, and it's good to have you.